Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Feeding the Family. I'm your host, Jill Troderman. Today, we are going to be talking about trauma. Trauma, unhealed emotional wounds, stress, and unmanifested dreams are things many, if not most folks, experience at some point during their life. Some even are plagued with these feelings throughout their whole lives, if not healed. How do we know if we are carrying trauma? Even, let's say, generational trauma, and how do we move on with sacred awareness while creating new pathways in life and in the brain so we can live our fully expressed, self-authentic life with full permission. So today I have a wonderful guest in the house. We have Carly Wise, and we're going to be exploring 3 powerful ways to release lingering past trauma and embrace your creative and authentic goddess self. So welcome, Carly.
Woo-hoo, thank you.
All right. Well, let me share a little bit more about you with the audience. Okay. So Carly is a Santa Cruz-based authentic and creative expression coach who helps women creatives, entrepreneurs, leaders, and sensitive souls process stored trauma, regulate their nervous systems, and reconnect with their creative life force. Through somatic tools like art therapy, EFT tapping, vagal toning, and subconscious reprogramming, she guides clients towards wholeness, self-trust, and authentic expression. Carly's work naturally supports family systems, helping women model emotional freedom and co-regulation for their children and deepen their connections with their partners. She believes that healing the world begins at home, within ourselves, through presence, expression, and embodied self-care. Right on! That is some really powerful stuff right there.
So many words.
Oh my gosh. I'm so excited to have you. This is a very exciting path you're on.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so you talk a lot about trauma, and that's a big word out there in our social vocabulary right now. So you are inspired to help women to heal that trauma. Can you share a little bit about how you got into this field and why that in particular is something that's important to you?
Yeah, that word is actually so funny because I remember when I first was beginning my coaching career, I was actually really afraid to claim trauma, to say like, oh yeah, I help women process trauma, because it can be such a deep word. But recognizing that there's little traumas, there's big traumas, there's such a range of trauma, and we all have it. Like, we literally all have trauma and experiences that didn't make us feel safe. And when it came to just reviewing all the women that I supported, that's what it was, is all these little or big traumas that were holding them back from expressing themselves, from being happy, from creating the life that they wanted. And so then I finally was like, I need to stand up and admit that this is what I do and that that's okay, and that I can handle it and I can hold that space. I think that's the most important part, is I can hold the space for somebody who has been through a lot of trauma. And that's compliments that I get, especially from new clients, is just the ability to hold space for them.
That's really important. Do you find that most people do have trauma in their lives, even if it's not in the top of their mind? Like, maybe they are the walking wounded and they don't even have the language to understand that they're experiencing something called trauma, whether it's small trauma or big trauma?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we literally all have trauma. And I would say, especially in one-to-one work that I do, so many times we're tapping into the subconscious. So we're kind of getting very curious and exploring, all right, what's this block that I'm feeling? What's this emotion? What is the belief or the thoughts? And then we'll go into, was there any experiences that I had that maybe created this feeling or this block, or what does this remind me of? I really work with limiting belief systems. So we are working on what are the experiences that I had that created these limiting beliefs. And when we do that, so many times things and experiences and memories bubble to the surface. And sometimes clients are like, I don't know how this makes sense, but this is the memory that's coming up. And so we'll just follow it. Okay, let's just follow that energy. And when we do, by the end, they're just like, wow, I had no idea that impacted me so much that I created this block, or that I created this belief or paradigm or pattern in my life based on this experience.
Can you share maybe an example of what a small trauma, or not even a small trauma, but something that would be hidden, like you're explaining, that somebody didn't even know they were experiencing, but it really impacted their whole life? Because I actually have, when you're talking about that, a few things that are popping to my mind that I'm like, oh, that wasn't a big thing, but then it manifests maybe as a limitation in our life.
Yeah.
I'll
share? Speak for myself.
Okay.
Just to keep, if anyone's listening, they're like, that story sounds similar to mine.
Right. Yeah, so don't throw anybody under the bus.
I'll speak for myself. One, I remember being in, it was maybe 4th grade, 3rd grade, being in PE, and the PE teacher looked at me and pushed down his nose. So those who don't know me or who can't see me, I'm half Chinese and I'm half white. And I really held this feeling of I don't belong. And
wow.
So that was an example, and one that I had to go through many times in healing. Because did he physically harm me? No. But this act in front of all of the kids, my whole classmates, was a space of I'm not safe.
Right.
Like I'm being pointed at. I'm being like put front and center for the way that I look, for my ethnicity, and I'm not safe.
And that stuck with you subconsciously, or even consciously, maybe your whole entire life.
Yeah, that honestly, that didn't even really come up in healing until I started going through EFT certification.
Fascinating. Because I wonder how many times that happens to just everybody who has these small infractions. Not small. Obviously, it's a huge thing. It might have been a 3-second occurrence in your life. And I almost wonder if that guy has any memory of that. But then he impacted that so much.
Well, and he was the Joker teacher. Like everyone kind of knew him as like, oh, he's the joke. He's the light, funny. And it's actually why I don't always love like jokes, because I think it's just a personal experience of being on the other end of it.
Right.
And
maybe he thought he was teasing you, but really that was a
trauma.
trauma.
Guy. He's just being a funny guy. But for me, that was incredibly unsafe.
Huge thing. And then you brought up something that you do, that you work with your clients with, called EFT. Is that correct? And that's the tapping protocol.
Yeah.
I'm familiar with what that looks like, and I've even tried it myself. Can you explain really what that is and how you do it and what impacts, how it impacts us?
Yeah. So EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques. And if you can imagine, we are working on the same energy system in the body as Chinese medicine. So we're using that meridian system, but instead of needles, acupuncturists will place a needle to create this energetic release and flow. We are physically tapping on our body. We're stimulating those meridians by tapping, or you could even massage those points to help create new flow wherever there's stuck energy. But the beauty of tapping is that we're talking through it at the same time. So this is nothing against acupuncture, but just what I imagine is you're laying there and you're getting support through those needles. But what I loved about tapping was that not only are we using the body, but we're speaking things out. So we're speaking out the emotional stressor. Again, emotional freedom techniques. We're really working with the emotions that are present. So, okay, I'm feeling this frustration, even though I feel this frustration. And I like to say, I just acknowledge. I mean, the original statement, I guess you could say, is I deeply and completely love and accept myself. But sometimes that can be like a far jump when people are experiencing big emotions. So I like to just bring a form of like openness and acknowledgement.
And do you first start with like what the infraction is or the trauma, and then you, like after a couple times going through the scenario, you change the languaging? I don't know if I said that right.
Yeah.
But at first you might say like, I'm mad at my dog for stealing my blankets.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you go, but I love my dog and I love myself. Like, can you walk me through a simple scenario?
Yeah.
And where are the tapping meridians too? I know everyone can't see us.
Okay. So I almost see this as
Or nobody can, I don't think.
Well, we are videoing.
We are videoing.
I'm going to explain this in different levels, I want to say too, because, okay, let's start with the points. So there's meridians literally everywhere. Like it's all flowing throughout our body. So especially when I am first working with someone that is new to tapping, I always say like, don't get caught up on the place.
Okay.
Like, because a lot of people are, you know, they hold themselves back from doing it because they're like, oh, am I doing it right?
Right.
And I really want to wipe that, like just even touch, like there's meridians everywhere. So, but the main meridians that we use or is that shared is the side of the hand.
Okay. So this is like underneath the pinky.
Yeah, the meaty part.
The meaty on the downside of your, okay.
Yep. And you can tap there. It's on both sides. So all meridians are parallel. So it doesn't matter what side, you could switch at any time.
Okay.
The pressure and how quickly you tap is whatever feels good to you. So I actually notice when I'm feeling maybe really stressed or I have to move through, I'm tapping kind of a lot harder, just naturally. And then when I'm calming down, it calms down and it's slower.
That's even really great awareness just to have for tuning into ourselves, because I think the whole reason we're having this conversation, Carly, is because we walk through life unaware often about how we're feeling.
Totally.
And we're going to get into some feeling words.
Yeah.
We're going to move beyond happy, sad.
Yeah.
And this is why I'm so excited to have you, because this is like I'm a holistic nutritionist, so I do the mind, body, soul. And I was talking to Carly earlier, you can't have healthy, happy eating without healthy, happy psychology, or at least psychology where you're aware of who you are as a being walking through this world. Totally. So thank you for bringing this to our podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks for having me. Yeah.
For sure. This is cool. Woo.
So side of the hand.
Okay.
Top of the head. Eyebrow point.
Okay. I'm doing this with Carly.
Yep.
We're tapping right now.
Side of the eye.
Okay.
Under the eye. Under the nose. Under the chin. Under the collarbone.
Okay.
And then under the arm.
Okay.
And I like to say you could do both and give yourself a hug at the same time.
That's kind of like your lymph.
Yeah. So those are the points that when I'm doing exploring, tapping, I use that. If we talk about matrix, I actually use the finger points because your eyes are closed the whole time. So you could do points on the tip of each finger.
Wow. Okay.
So actually even earlier before when we were counting down, I was using my finger points because that's a way to regulate myself, the excitement, and it's a lot less obvious. You know, I can have my hands under the table and tapping my finger points and no one would know.
Right.
So let's start with one. So now we know the points, kind of one base level is that even if you don't even know what you're feeling, but you are feeling the physical sensation of tightness or stress or just kind of a fight, flight, freeze, fawn response, you can just start tapping the points and breathing.
Okay, so, even just starting there can start releasing, because we're moving the energy around our body. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's just do an example.
Yes.
So a lot of times also I'm gauging from 0 to 10. What's this from 0 to 10? So if you even just close your eyes for a moment and you tuned into your body and you asked, okay, what's the intensity that I'm feeling in my body right now? Mine's about a 6. What do you think yours is?
I'm like a 4.
Okay. Yeah. 10 being intense, 0 being neutral. So what we'll do is we'll just go through each point. So we'll just go to the top of the head.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm energized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll just start with breathing in.
Okay.
And I tone out with an HA sound. So,
Okay, so it's like,
yeah, this is activating the vagus nerve by using our voice. We go through each point. I'm just going to go through and we're going to see if our numbers change. So breathing in.
So please join us, folks out there. Tap on your forehead with both hands.
Toning out.
Yeah, kind of like what we do in yoga.
Side of the eye, breathing in. Toning out. Under the eye.
Okay, and that sighing, I know, also sends messages to our brain to relax.
The sounds. Breathing in. Toning out.
Under the nose.
Breathing in. Toning out. Under the chin. Breathing in. Toning out. Under the
Collarbone.
Breathing in.
So there's like 6 different spots.
Under the arm.
And under the arm.
Toning out. And then you just pause and close your eyes.
Okay.
And you just tune back into your body. Notice how it feels. Rate it from 0 to 10. And see if it decreases.
Yeah.
Like a 4.
Did it go down?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is working on the central nervous system, the autonomic and parasympathetic system. And it's really fascinating that we can really heal ourselves within seconds almost. Like you just did that. We were excited about this podcast. Our energy's high, maybe a little stress, good stress.
Yep.
Because even good stress is stress.
Yep.
And how just in a few moments we could do this. Now, you talked about this technique called the matrix re-imprinting. Is that a different thing than the tapping?
It's a form of tapping.
Okay.
So it's really, I'll kind of explain it in a nutshell way. So if you can imagine that we are all walking around a ball of energy. We're all walking around and we're all this ball of energy. And in our ball of energy, in our energetic field, is living out all of our life experiences, all of our memories. So all of our good experiences and all of those that we have as little or big traumas. So it's all living out in our ball of energy. When we're either attracting more of those experiences that we're trying to break free from, when we're identifying with those limiting beliefs, I'll just say limiting beliefs is, I like to say that it's really just accumulated evidence.
Okay, what does that mean exactly?
Yeah. So
let's dive a little deeper into that.
So,
because I think we've all heard those words before, limiting beliefs.
Right.
So like, oh, I'm not good enough to do X, Y, or Z. So-and-so is not going to like me because A, B, and C. Is that what limiting beliefs are?
Yeah, it's just a thought that has a lot of collected evidence. So I have this thought, I'm not good enough, and I have a ton of collected evidence, like my teacher pushing down their nose or at me, or me getting a bad grade, or we have collected evidence that makes this belief true and makes the belief stronger. And all of those experiences are living out in our energetic field. So in order to change our limiting beliefs, we have to go into that field and rewrite the narrative, rewrite the story, rewrite the memory. So matrix re-imprinting is really incredible because we are going into these experiences where your past selves are in trauma and saying, what did you not get at this moment? And let me give it to you. Because we're in this space of unlimited possibility. There's no ask too big in this realm that we're working in of, if you want to call it your imagination or the quantum, like we're working in this realm. And when we can regulate our younger selves or the parts of ourselves that are stuck in these traumas, support them, give them what they need, then you move them from this space to somewhere else. And all of a sudden they're flourishing, they're being supported, they're being loved, they're feeling a sense of belonging, whatever it is that they needed. And so when you can transfer, when you can rewrite enough of those stories, you're taking away the power of that old belief and you're rewriting a new one. So it completely then changes your energetic structure, and you're not walking around projecting your traumas, you're projecting these new stories. And when you can walk around in these new stories, life just shows up differently. That's when shifts happen that are so powerful. And I've seen it so many times where I'm doing matrix work with a client, and then they hit me up and things that have happened in the matrix happen in real life. They're like, you won't believe what just happened. So it's very powerful. And
yeah, that's the word that was coming to my mind, was powerful.
Yeah.
And it's not like you're lying to yourself, is it? It's just, so with your experience with the teacher, so you could say you wanted to rewrite that story. What does that look like for a rewrite? As if you're rewriting the novel.
Yeah.
Like, I had a great experience in that class. So you can just kind of not have that as a trauma?
No.
How does it?
Yeah, it's not, you can't just like flip a switch and it'll be okay.
It's gone.
Everyone's experience of what they need is going to be different. And sometimes it's, I need to be taken out of this space, that I need to leave. Like, I'm stuck here. I'm stuck in this class that everyone's looking with me and I just want to go home. Like, I don't even want to physically be here.
Right.
And so it's like, okay, let's move you. Like, you don't need to be stuck in this unsafe space. And it's like, what did you maybe need at that time? I needed an adult there.
Right.
To tell this man that wasn't okay.
There you go. You needed somebody to stand up for yourself. So you can almost stand up for yourself now.
Yeah. And it's like, I needed to be
like, validated.
Or validated or held.
That you're beautiful just the way you are. And
yeah.
Right.
And this man needs to like leave now.
Right.
Like, he needs to be fired.
Okay, good. That makes sense.
When you can play it out, then
yeah, we're good. Okay.
We have a visitor. Let's just say what's happening.
I know, Michael pops in sometimes. To say thanks for Carly to being here. We're going to take a quick break, and everybody hold on tight. We have a lot more of some really cool stuff we're going to be talking about when we come right back.
The Hook is California's first ever cannabis outlet. 100% locally owned and operated, we're here to be your friendly neighborhood hookup. We believe that everyone should have access to fairly priced cannabis, so we work hard to get it to you for 30 to 50% less than the other guys. If you're 21 or older with a valid ID, visit us in Capitola or in Watsonville today. We're here to be your friendly neighborhood hookup. Check out our website, hookoutlet.com, for deals and stay groovy.
Okay, folks, hope you're staying groovy out there. Carly and I are grooving on a really cool topic called emotional freedom technique and how people can release trauma. I know everybody has met somebody who has trauma. We all carry some. So one of the things I wanted to talk with you about is something that you're interested in, is our language around emotion. And maybe some people have a limited vocabulary on what that looks like. I'm happy, I'm sad, maybe I'm angry, and that's about it. But there's so many more adjectives to use to describe our emotions and how that can help families, help our relationships, help our business opportunities when we can get in touch with our emotions and know the words for the emotions. Can you share some emotional words that maybe people don't think about and how we can compare them?
Yeah. So I love sharing. I made this PDF of so many other emotions. And I like to think of emotions as a spectrum. So there's the emotions where we're feeling out of alignment, and there's emotions when we're feeling in alignment. And then maybe there's emotions that's kind of the bridge from out of alignment into alignment. And so out of alignment could be the popular angry, frustrated, mad, sad, maybe grief, some empowering ones, happy, calm, caring, creative, empowered. But the beauty of seeing this list, and whenever I show it to people, their mouths just kind of drop because they're like, wow, there's so many. And I wasn't even aware of how many there were until I really started tapping and learning about emotions specifically and emotional intelligence. So other ones could be miserable, hopeless, rejected, scared, panicked. And even seeing that spectrum, right? Like scared and panicked might be kind of in that same realm, but they're still two very different emotions or intensities. Awkward, defensive, dread, desperate, restricted, vulnerable, trapped, suspicious. Like there's so many. So those who can't see, like I have a list, a PDF of literally each page has emotions of out of alignment and in alignment feelings.
Yeah, and even with those quote unquote negative emotions, there's subtle differences between all of those.
Yeah. Yeah.
Scared versus panicked.
Yes.
So that's very different. Scared, you might be scared you're going to get hit by another car. Panicked could be, I think I left my keys at home. How am I going to, get from here to there or something like that?
Yeah.
Is that right? Or
yeah. Well, and we were sharing this in the sense of why it's so important to expand our emotional vocabulary, not even for children, but also for our partners. So I'll speak for myself again. I struggled so much with having a very limited emotional vocabulary, and it's taken me time to realize how many more there are to connect with and what it is I'm actually feeling. And that's the beauty of tapping too, is we're working on maybe an emotion and then other emotions will start to come up. So maybe the surface emotion is angry, and then I start tapping on it and I'm like, oh, I was actually disappointed. So there's these like layers to it. And I'll give an example.
No, that's really good. And then that could lead to, gosh, I'm disappointed and now I'm frustrated.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is great.
So an example and how this has helped my relationship is because if I have an expanded emotional vocabulary, then I know how to help myself. And I know how to ask for help from my partner. And that's a really big challenge, is we're naturally just wanting our partners to support us. But if we don't know what we're feeling and we don't know how to support ourselves, then we can't ask for what it is that we need from them. And so we were at the airport, and airports are stressful. I get so stressed at airports. And we were going to our gate, and I started to get really anxious because I was worried. I always have to have certain foods and drinks before I go to my gate, and I'm always worried about not having food on the plane.
I knew I liked you for a reason, Carly.
And so we were going to the gate, and we had just eaten, but I was worried that, I think just like food-wise, but the first emotion that came up was I'm really anxious. I'm feeling really anxious. And instead, normally in the past, I would just not say anything and I would keep going and probably end up getting in a fight or argument with him because of maybe I'm feeling the stress, but somehow I wanted him to fix it.
And he couldn't figure it out.
And he wouldn't know.
He's like, we just ate 20 minutes ago. We haven't even talked in 2 minutes. So
yeah. So what I've learned is when I'm feeling something, I need to just pull over. I need to just pause and just get curious. Okay, what am I anxious exactly about? And then I started to realize, oh, I'm indecisive.
That's so fascinating. I love this thought process that you went through.
Yeah. Like I was like, okay, I'm worried about the food and doing this. And so what is that? Oh, I'm indecisive. And so then in that moment, I told him, I was like, hey, I'm really indecisive right now on if I should go back and get snacks or just us. And he knows me. And he was like, first he was like, how can I support you? Which that's another really big thing is actually, when it comes to receiving support, we ask, do you want to be listened? Like, do you want to just talk and me listen? Do you want me to offer feedback, or do you want to be held? What 3 of those things? And usually I just need to be listened to. So,
and we can use that with our family members, our spouses, partners, our girlfriends, the people at the grocery store, like that. This can be used for all social scenarios.
Yeah, not everyone wants to be told. They just need to be heard. And then we could even talk to you about,
don't ask the grocery man to hold you, though. That'd be weird.
There's different ways that we process emotions, and it's actually really important to know how you process emotions. So that's something that I evaluate in the beginning when I'm working with a new client. How do you process emotions? So
and then people don't even process. Like, some people will just hold on to it forever and ever and ever, and then unleash. And it comes out of nowhere, it seems. And gosh, this could be so helpful for people like that.
Yeah.
Who can't process, and then it explodes, and then a relationship will end potentially.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's kind of sad. So this is such valuable work. Okay, continue on.
Well, and just in that moment when I thought, oh, I'm indecisive, I then can make a choice. And that's the thing about having an expanded emotional vocabulary, is you then you have the space to make different choices. You have space for your partners to show up differently, or for you to show up for your kids differently. I have a few parents that I worked with that they printed these sheets out and put them on the fridge.
Nice.
Because helping children, but not only the children, is for them too. Like, trying to communicate, whether it be their partner or their kids, like, what emotion are you feeling? Because him knowing that, oh, she's just indecisive, he could help me make a choice. But me just being like, I'm anxious, how do you meet that? So it's so much easier to meet our partners or our kids if there's this expanded vocabulary that we can pull on. If my partner is saying, like, I'm feeling shame, versus I'm feeling mad, I would meet him in different ways.
Right.
Like, shame. Oh my God. What are you? I love you. Like, what is the shame about? There's like so much compassion is coming from your heart when.
That's right.
I
felt that too. I had this compassion come up all of a sudden.
Yeah.
With the shame, I'm like, oh no, what happened?
Yeah.
But then when they're mad, you're like, what did somebody do to you?
Or it's just kind of like, okay, you're mad. Maybe how can I hold this space to just understand what you're mad about.
Right. And then even through that, there could be some other uncovered emotions that come of why that person might be quote unquote mad.
Yeah.
Like, I'm disappointed that so-and-so did X, Y, or Z or whatever, right?
And that's where the holding space part's important, and why knowing how people process. And I'll just say the 4 ways, because
please,
how you process could be different than your partner. Like, me and my partner process in 2 completely different ways. So when it comes to us feeling emotions, we need to support each other in different ways. So there's the intellect, which intellects are very much in your head. Like, you're processing everything in your head, and you need to just get in your body. You need to feel in your body. You need to sink in. So maybe doing some breaths and really dropping into your body. That's their lesson. So if someone processes more on an intellectual level, you might support your partner with, like, hey, let's go for a walk. Like, let's get into your body. Second one, empaths. I believe we're all empaths. It's just kind of where on that like, how open are you as an empath? I'll put it that way. And empaths just naturally absorb energy that's around them. They don't even know it's happening, but they're a sponge. And it's so important for empaths to release energy that's not yours. So this has been a huge lesson with me and my partner. We are both empaths for sure, but you can kind of notice in your relationships when you're ping-ponging. So one person's maybe feeling really good and the other person's having a really rough day. All of a sudden you're having a rough day. And all of a sudden maybe they're feeling better. And you guys are just like ping-ponging this energy back. So the greatest lesson when I started to understand how we process emotions is anytime my partner was maybe feeling big feelings, I would go into another room and I would start tapping. And I would say, any of this energy that I might be absorbing from my partner, I just release it right here, right now, because it's not my responsibility to hold on to it until I felt that energy leave. And so empaths, they need to just really make sure that they're aware whenever they are with somebody or an environment, and it could be very environment or even collective. Like there's a lot that happens in the collective. If you're a really empathic person, you are just picking up on it. No wonder you're feeling heavy. No wonder you're feeling dense. So sometimes if I don't even know what it could be, I'll just start saying the collective. I think I might be picking up on the collective's energy.
Yeah, and there's a lot of scientific evidence that does say that when there's somebody angry in a room or fearful, we do pick up on that. Yeah. And we also pick up on their stomach, their bacteria.
Oh, interesting.
I know. So we definitely resonate when you feel like, I walked into that house and I just got that bad energy feeling.
Yeah.
It's because you are picking up on these vibrations, and physiologically your body is attuned to that. So, okay, this is great. So for empaths, you have to be super aware not to absorb other people's energy and take it on as your own.
Yep, and just taking little breaks.
Okay.
And really honoring your empathic needs, whatever you need.
That makes sense.
I would really say work on that expanded emotional vocabulary.
Okay, perfect.
The rock. I'm like, what's the next one? So the rock, kind of what you were saying before, the rock is really good for being there for other people, but they don't know how to ask for help. So they're the ones that maybe they're always there, but when it comes to asking or needing support, they kind of hold themselves back from doing it. And their biggest lesson is actually working on asking for that help, receiving support, and also playing with expanding their emotional feelings as well. So like tapping into new emotions. Like when I work with people who have more of a stronger rock influence, I look at the alignment sheet and these emotions of, okay, empowered, creative, determined, motivated, encouraged, focused, overjoyed, prepared, resilient. There's so many emotions. And I say, try to pick a few, and this week, just play in it. Like, how can you express these emotions? And so it's helping them to tap into new emotions, and I want to say even just like their joy. Because
it almost seems like those kind of folks, I mean, I can resonate with all of these three scenarios you've put forward, but it almost seems like the rock people, maybe in their past, they had to like hold the family together. Like if their parents weren't available, they had to cook and clean for their other siblings, and they had to take on insurmountable responsibility, and they developed that way. Because I wanted to ask you, I don't know if you have an answer, but are these learned behaviors, or are we born with certain tendencies?
Yeah, that's actually a great question. I think, we definitely all have a little bit of kind of every one, but it's just which one of these are dominant. Okay. So I think too, based on what we're talking about, like our trauma, our experiences influence that even more. Like this is the person who I have to be, or
the whole thing's going to fall apart.
Yeah.
Like if I don't organize this, no one's getting dinner.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Interesting. So that's the rock.
Yeah.
Somebody needs to soften up and to really allow themselves to receive.
Yep. And play in these higher vibrational emotions, like that. It's okay for them to. When I work with rocks, they'll look at their list, they'll get emotional because they're like, this is really hard.
Aww.
Yeah. Okay. And then there's the external processor. So my husband's an external processor. And those are the people who they will tell you the same story to a T. And it's as if they told it to you for the first time. Okay. And it's like they've told you 20 times. And they just need to talk it out. They need to talk it out.
Okay.
And so for them, their biggest lesson is they have the answers already inside of themselves. They need to know that. But the other part is, so when my husband is externally processing, I'll listen to the story a few times and then I'll say, babe, you need to go talk to somebody else.
Okay.
Like you need to go externally process with other people because I can't anymore. And this was really helpful for him because he gets it now. And it's not that I'm not trying to not support him. It's just, you need to go talk to other people. And I'm not the only one.
And I can see how this is so important in relationships if you can know which person, like how your partner is, because then you cannot get the frustration or irritated.
Yes.
Like, oh my God, again with the story, you know?
Yes.
But they clearly need to keep working through that. And then the tapping, I'm sure, can definitely help moving that energy around.
Yeah. Yeah.
So those are great learning. Those are great tools for people to understand more clearly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I wonder what one I am.
Yeah. You could take a...
definitely an empath for sure.
I'm going to say we're all on the empath scale. Right. But it's like, which one's dominant?
Right.
I mean, which one do you think, just hearing kind of those...
And what was the first one? That was...
Intellect.
The intellect. No, I'm definitely more in the heart feeling thing. And maybe the rock, controlling, wanting to be the police officer of the town because no one's paying attention to the people running red lights.
You just need to tap
I'm not going to have a new career. Don't worry, anybody. But
tap into these.
I know. I need to tap into my... I'm trusting the world's going to take care of itself. But... And was there like a particular trigger for you personally, Carly, that set you off? Like, did you have any trauma? Maybe this is a second career for you. Was there something poignant in your life that touched your heart? Having compassion for others that
so
you wanted to help other people?
Before I was coaching, and I still do this, I was a full freelance makeup and hair artist. So naturally, I'm like right in people's spaces. Like I'm in their face working on them. And so people naturally talk to me. People naturally share maybe their fears or what's going on in their life. And, you know, you hear kind of about like the hairdressers that are therapists.
You do. The bartender and the hairdresser. Everybody knows that.
So
that's great. This is a great manifestation in a way.
Yeah. But there's nothing that I could do more than just do their makeup and hair and help them to feel beautiful yes. So when I discovered tapping, it kind of plopped into my space, even though the seed was planted by my husband's dad, like years before. And it was the first tool that I actually really did feel emotional freedom, where I was like, oh my God, you don't have to walk around in this cloud of emotions for multiple days. Like I can process through this in a few minutes and still enjoy my day that day. That was always really hard for me. So I bottled things up really big. And when I was around 18, I was diagnosed with psoriasis, the autoimmune, and it was about a year of a huge challenge in my skin and just being broken out all over my body. And a friend had given me or shown me the book, Louise Hay, You Can Heal Your Life, and I looked up psoriasis, and it was deadening of the senses. And it was so like dead on of like, when it came to, I never allowed myself to cry. Like that was weak to me. That was like, I'm showing weakness. And so I would just bottle it up and stuff it. And I can really remember like physically just like tensing up to not allow emotions to come through. And so I really do believe like my psoriasis was like this physical manifestation that was like, girl, you are done. Like you cannot bottle this up anymore.
Right.
You have to feel, you have to be here in life. And I think that was also something that was hard growing up, just this feeling of belonging. There was always kind of this sense of like, I just want to go home to the stars.
Oh,
like I don't want to be here.
Oh man, that's intense.
Yeah, and I didn't know how to talk about that. I didn't know how to express it. I didn't know how to understand it. I didn't know how to feel it. But I remember the feeling in a way. So when tapping came into my life, it was just this like relief and so empowering because I had been maybe doing personal development tools and workshops and books for already like 10 years. And I had never found a tool that was so impactful right away. So I was like, this is like mine. I need to know this and share it with others. And that's why I got certified. And I'm blanking on your question now. Like
no, I think that's exactly what it was. You answered it. It was, how did you get into this?
Yeah.
What personal story or what happened to you? What trauma that got you into the tapping? And because you were a stuffer.
Yeah.
You're an emotional stuffer. And then it takes its toll. Like you resonated with the psoriasis.
Yeah.
And Louise Hay. She's a cool person if people don't know who she is. She's passed. But she was like a pioneer in the self-help movement.
Yes.
The self-health movement as well.
Yeah.
Because self-health and mental health is so important, because we can't be there for our brothers and our sisters in our community if we can't be there for ourselves. And even just checking in, like what self-love is, and clearly you found that for yourself.
Yeah, and that was the big part of just the emotional freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and again, being that empath, then I'll even say like understanding being an empath is still very within these last couple years. Like it was almost, I had to learn the emotions first, then I understand myself as an empath. And I think that was a big part of it too, is just, I was an empath and I didn't know how to be that.
Right.
Like,
to really step in and honor that and own it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And support myself through it.
So cool. Wow, what a blessing. Now I use goddess in the title, and what a goddess you are.
Yeah.
And we want all our sisters out there to be goddesses, and our brothers to be the gods and the kings out there that we want them to be.
Yeah.
So where can people find you, Carly? What's your website?
CarlyWise.com.
Okay.
And Instagram is at CarlyLynnWise.
All right. I hope everybody checks out Carly. So Carly, we're in Santa Cruz, California right now.
And every first and third Wednesday, I'm at Breath and Oneness. So
Sweet.
I do group facilitation there.
Nice.
I do somatic expression.
All right.
And that's mixing a bunch of different tools to help express ourselves. So you can go there too.
This is great. We use some really cool terminology, you guys. So emotional freedom, releasing our trauma, being your authentic goddess self. So these are really up-leveled concepts. Yeah. And I hope people check Carly's website out. And I just wanted to share a little bit about, don't go, hold on tight here, because we only have a few minutes left. And I wanted to share with our audience that I have a couple workshops coming up. One, it's called Unpackage Your Kids' Diet. It's a 6-week immersive nutrition series. And the first session starts August 5th. And that goes for 6 weeks. And then the second session is early fall. That's starting September 23rd. And we're going to be talking about how to really embrace feeding your family with whatever diet style you want to have. I'm working with whole foods, plant-based. And we're going to talk about the 5 food groups with my food tree. And we're going to talk about basic meal planning, craving, stress, dealing with overweight, obesity, snacks, superfoods, and all kinds of good stuff like that. So you guys can check out my website, SantaCruzHolisticNutrition.com. And Carly, is there anything else you want to share real quick in the last couple seconds?
Thank you.
With our audience?
Well, that's it. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're so welcome.
We met in such a divine way. It was so amazing.
Yeah.
So it's great to see. And you were just starting this. So.
I know. And Carly and I met at a restaurant. It was kind of cosmic. So
right here.
I know. So peace out. Love to everybody and have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.